So I usually don't release videos on Tuesdays. I usually do it like Monday, Wednesday, Friday, and Saturday, but the patch notes for the new season released last night, and I wanted to cover them, talk about everything that we can expect in a new season, including all of the balance adjustments and stuff like that, which are the things that we didn't know about already. So I will leave a link in the description down below if you want to go and read the entirety of the patch notes for yourselves. But as you can see, a little bit of a different style of video today. You actually have my face in here, and we're going to read the patch notes together on the website, because in the last patch notes video I made, somebody recommended that I have them visible on screen so people can follow along, and it's a little bit easier to understand. So starting right away with the patch notes. So here is the update schedule, as I said. So on mobile, it's going to be releasing at 3 a.m. UTC plus 0, and then for PC, 2 a.m. UTC plus 0. So if you're on like NA or something like that, it'll release on the 8th. If you're EU, it'll release in the middle of the night. So obviously the new operator, I'm just going to cover the new stuff real quick, even though I made a video talking about all that. So the new operator called Claire Ann Byers, codenamed Tempest. So her abilities: operator trait, auxiliary surge spine. Tempest's auxiliary spine activates when bullets or explosions come too close, releasing electric currents that supercharge her core muscles. So basically said, whenever you get fired at, you're going to be able to run a little bit faster. This temporarily boosts her sprinting speed. When not under pressure, it passively increases her swimming speed. Tactical gear, drill charge. Tempest tosses a drill forward that can burst through surfaces. It then spews conductive power and electric currents that pierce through cover, disarming enemies and temporarily paralyzing them. I also want to point out that there's a lot of like just typos in the patch notes, so I'll try and not repeat them and just read it how it's supposed to be spelled out. Her gadget, so combat roll, this activates her auxiliary spine to amp up her core strength, letting her quickly roll in multiple directions. Successfully knocking down enemies reduces the gadget's cooldown. So I think knocking down here, I thought at first it was actually like rolling into somebody and knocks them down, but no, when you down an enemy in warfare or operations, it reduces the cooldown, and the cooldown on this is actually really low to begin with. And then her ultimate is the emergency evasion device. After Tempest pops in a gas canister, this device fires a safety rope to secure an anchor point. If she reactivates the device or receives fatal damage, you're going to be yanked back to that anchor spot. So a really great way to get some poke damage or get a few poke kills here and there, and then pull back to safety in order to reload, get your supplies back, heal up, and stuff like that. In operations specifically, so when Tempest is down, she can activate her spine to discharge a defibrillation burst, reviving herself once. In warfare mode, during the rope pullback, Tempest briefly resists damage that would normally exceed her max HP. The safety rope will go into a suspended state if Tempest falls a certain distance, and she will be available in the free tier of the season pass, usually in level 15. The new boss for operations, Raven. Raven was once the former Ashara King's most cherished and brilliant son, but he was later betrayed and ended up a prisoner. Raven and his guards are always on the move throughout the Tide Prison. They're incredibly dangerous, so you need to be extremely careful when engaging them. I did play Tide Prison once, didn't see Raven at all, saw some of his guards. They didn't feel too bad, to be honest, but then again, there were no other players lurking around. I was only playing against bots, so take that with a grain of salt. New vehicles and new attachments, new class gadgets. So obviously we're getting the brand new jet ski that is available on the Cyclone map. I didn't check on other maps that do have water to see if the jet ski was there, but I don't think it is. We're also getting a compound bow with diversified arrowheads. So in operations, obviously, you can use different types of arrowheads when you're using the compound bow. And in warfare, we're getting wire-guided missiles. So a portable anti-vehicle weapon for the engineer class that can be remotely guided to hit targets. I tried it very briefly, but yeah, I think I'll get a better idea of how it works and whether it's good or not once we get our hands on it in the actual update, because I was only able to kill bots with it because they don't go in vehicles. But I digress. So we also have a new action, swimming. So diving consumes oxygen, resurfacing restores it. If you run out, your HP will gradually drain. So nothing too crazy there. You can choose between slow swimming or sprint swimming. Sprinting is faster but drains stamina and depletes oxygen more quickly. While on the water surface, you can use all weapons and gadgets. Underwater weapons can't be fired, and only certain gadgets are functional. Weapons fired from above water can hit targets below, but bullet damage drops sharply after entering the water. In operations, down players can move slowly while underwater. In warfare, down players will float to the surface but can't move until revived. So pretty Pretty straightforward. In operations, you can visit the Black Site Diving Center to upgrade and boost your character's swimming related abilities. So pretty interesting there. We also got a new thing in operations called the Black Site Collection Room. So basically this is just a room to showcase all of your dope loot that is arguably maybe a little bit expensive. So this is where you can do that. So we can see here a couple of pictures. Collection room, so show off your top tier loot in the collection room. Here you can unlock gallery entries, admire collected items, and upgrade the room to upgrade the room to unlock advanced display features. Fixed assets, so your Black Site and collection room facilities will now count as fixed assets. These will be combined with your liquid assets, so stash assets and Technic Alloy, to calculate your total assets, which will be displayed on your personal homepage. So obviously we're getting a new map for operations, which is Tide Prison. As I said, I played it once. Kind of confusing, to be honest, the map, but then again, I don't play operations that much, but the more you play it, I would imagine the more used to it you will be and the better navigation you will be able to have in that map. Albeit the mini-map does get jammed when you're right in the middle of the prison, so that might make it a little bit extra challenging. So as I said, Tide Prison, where hard operations will take place. Tide Prison is built on an isolated island. Its complex structure and eerie cells are truly chilling. Operators will play as jailbreakers, so that was something I found neat. You actually start in a jail cell and you have to break out and then go and find your gear. So that's just a neat way to really start a map in operations, in my opinion. Receiving mission briefings, retrieving equipment, and launching into intense action. Next, we have Operations Mode Roulette. So this is the map and difficulty rotation for PC. So you can see here 0 to 1, 1 to 2, all the way to noon. And then basically on a 24-hour schedules, there's like 2 different maps per couple of hours. So as we see here, 0 to 1 is Space City Normal, Tide Prison Hard. 1 to 2, Space City Normal, Tide Prison Hard, and then it swaps over to other map rotations, and then it just goes through. So hopefully this allows people in all regions to be able to experience all the different maps, because I think last season, again, I don't play operations, but I think some people had a very difficult time getting into certain maps because they were just in the rotation when they were sleeping, which is pretty unfortunate. Moving on to Warfare, so we obviously got a new map, Cyclone. I did make a video on that, so I'll leave a card up in the top right-hand corner of the video, so up here. If you want to go and check out my overview. As I said in that video, playing against bots, so I kind of just did a walkthrough of the map more so than anything else. So new map is called Cyclone. Get ready for an unpredictable island landing battle with incredibly realistic and brutal battlefield conditions. Amphibious landing operations will deliver a more stunning visual experience and combat. There's also weather systems, so dynamic weather changes are now part of the battlefield and will directly impact combat. I only saw like pretty heavy winds and then pretty heavy rain as well, and there was like a big storm, but I didn't really see it affecting combat. But then again, I was only doing a walkthrough playing against bots, so you know, we're going to get a better idea once we get our hands on the map. New weapons, so the compound bow. Unfortunately, I did do a video talking about the compound bow and the KC-17, actually, I think it was yesterday, yeah. So again, there'll be a card up in the top right-hand corner, up here, right there. Can't use them in Warfare, and I suspect that they will not be unlockable in Warfare when the season launches. Maybe we'll be able to find them in the operations like we did last season that allows you to unlock it for both modes. Hopefully, fingers crossed that they unlock them right when the season drops, because waiting mid-season for new weapons, it ain't it. So season mission update, season 4 mission reset. All your progress on season 4 missions will be completely reset and cleared. Any ultimate safe box season access from previous seasons, along with any safe box trial cards used or not, will expire and become invalid. Season 5 mission update. Season 5 kicks off with a brand new mission line, bringing 77 new season missions for operators to challenge. So moving on to in-game combat and level improvement for Warfare. So Victory Unite, obviously the 20v20 game mode that unfortunately not a lot of people play, added a command panel that combines multi-mode functions for command and team identity management. Plus there's a new call-in. It is urgent deployment ability, which can temporarily reduce how long it takes allies to deploy. So this is a pretty neat one in my opinion, as the respawn timer in Victory Unite is slightly longer. Airdrop vehicles, light tank now requires 10,000 points to call in. Airdrop vehicles also getting get call-in protection, not a fan of that. And we've increased the total quantity limits for attacked vehicles. To how much, they don't really mention here, but I feel like not many people call in vehicles, to be fair, in warfare. Most people that have enough points will try and go for the cruise missile, but I digress. Moving on to the artillery barrage, the maximum damage has gone up from 100 to 120, and the minimum damage has gone up from 30 to 50. The maximum range radius is now 8 meters, up from 7 meters, and the full damage radius has increased from 2 meters to 2.5 meters, so just making it more effective overall. The guided missile maximum damage has been tweaked from 300 to 310. The anti-tank mine, which is actually something I touched on when I did my gadget tier list video, saying that it was kind of underpowered, or it felt really underpowered. You can now carry up to 3 anti-tank mines, up from 1, and you'll start with 3, up from 1. The damage has been reduced for the anti-tank mine from 60 to 40, but technically speaking, you will have enough anti-tank mines to completely destroy a vehicle if you put all 3 in the same spot and the vehicle drives over them. So that is fantastic, as I felt like the anti-tank mine was pretty underwhelming as a engineer gadget. For the flamethrower, damage is now 100 damage per second, up from 70 per second, and we've improved how flames penetrate targets. In-game combat and level improvement warfare, extraction point marking, fine-tune how conditional extraction points display when marked. Now you can directly see the extraction countdown. Enemy soldiers significantly lowered the firing burst probability for Ashara soldiers and slightly reduced their damage. For Ashara shield bearers, their firing burst probability is down and their burst accuracy has decreased. We've also improved the stagger performance and damage logic after a machine gunner's helmet is knocked off. Now they said warfare here, but I think this is for operations again. I think it's just a typo. System improvement, all modes, so tutorials, they added a tutorial for certain operators and system gameplay mechanics. Voice language settings, they moved those to the audio settings, which is just makes sense. The loadout screen, a new special weapon tab has been added to showcase the compound bow, which is a special weapon. And there's also a gift system now that allows you to gift the season pass. The friend duration requirement has been adjusted to 5 days, so you need to be friends with that person for 5 days, and you can access this feature via events and others. System improvement warfare missions added a new mission list right in matches, so you can now track what you need to do or want to do. It now includes your armory operator and weapon appearance missions, which is absolutely fantastic. For the operations system improvements, so obviously Black Site, the screen has been redesigned and optimized. We've added a collection room tab plus new diving center and collection room buildings with all the related functions. Entry value adjustment, easy is now 1.5 million technic-alloy, normal is now 3 million technic-alloy, and hard is now 6 million technic-alloy. I think this is the cap for how much your gear is worth when you're entering those different tiers of missions. Gear repair has been streamlined. The system now defaults to using unlocked higher tier repair options. If a repair type is locked, the interface will guide you on how to unlock it. Gear tickets, weapon variety, and modifications have been fine-tuned for both standard and elite gear tickets, so I guess that was just some balancing stuff. Match results optimized the display timing and layout of squad mate supply returns on the match results screen for improved clarity. Hot Zone, I actually never even played Hot Zone, but some weapon preset loadouts in the Hot Zone have been optimized. Fixed assets, the new fixed assets system is here, so as I mentioned, whatever you have in your Black Site and collection room facilities will count as fixed assets, and then those will be added to your liquid assets to give you total assets overall. The TNE lab added one linked shelf and increased the chance of getting rare items like keycards. Overall, the profit from generated items has been boosted. Weapon balance and optimization, all modes. Polar precision, don't even know what this is. Significantly reduced recoil reduction per weapon handling point while holding breath. Added auto breath hold functionality for all weapons on mobile, so polar precision might be something specific to mobile. SR-25 marksman rifle. So a lot of this is like very confusing in terms of wording. A lot of this just is like, we did this to this, but they don't actually give you like hard numbers except for like the muzzle velocity for these two. But for most of these here, they re-engineered the base firing stability and recoil feel. They say you'll notice much better recoil control during sustained fire for a semi-automatic rifle, which doesn't really make sense, and improved firing stability when using tactical side sights. For the PSG-1, they enhanced its horizontal firing stability and improved firing stability with tactical side sights. The muzzle velocity was reduced from 750 meters per second to 550 meters per second, which is a little bit unfortunate. SVD, again, re-engineered the stability and recoil feel. Same thing. saying sustained fire, which again doesn't make sense for marksman rifles because it's a semi-auto weapon. The SKS, same thing. SR9, same thing, but they reduced the muzzle velocity similar to the PSG-1, so 750 meters per second to 550 meters per second, as if this weapon needed a nerf. But moving on to the Mini 14, so they enhanced its horizontal firing stability, improved horizontal recoil control, and improved firing stability with tactical side sights. For the AKM assault rifle, we now have 2 extra barrels. I don't think I've ever seen the performance barrel combo, but equipping this barrel will significantly change your hipfire accuracy and how the recoil feels, and the practical long barrel combo. Equipping this barrel will drastically change the weapon's stability when firing with slight tweaks to recoil. So weapon balance and optimization in warfare, the M7 battle rifle saw a buff, so the base damage was increased from 25 to 26. The AKM also saw a pretty massive buff. Now the base chest damage increased from 26 to 34, but only for the actual like thorax part. You're still doing 26 damage to the groin and you're doing 26 damage to all the limbs, but you're doing 34 damage when you're hitting somebody in the thorax, which is absolutely crazy. So if you build out the weapon correctly, you could be technically killing people at pretty decent ranges if you're aiming mid-mass right at their thorax in 3 shots, which is absolutely crazy. So then they say for both of these barrels, so the base chest damage stays at 26, but base headshot damage increased from 49 to 52 for this one. And then for the practical long barrel combo, base chest damage remains at 26, while range and muzzle velocity now get a plus 15% boost, up from 9%. So if I understand correctly, these 2 barrels will still have that base 26 damage, but any other barrels you equip on the AKM will have that bumped up 34 damage per shot. Moving on to weapon balance and optimizations in operations. So the K437 assault rifle base handling reduced from 55 to 48. They keep nerfing that weapon. It's basically useless already. The MP7 submachine gun hipfire accuracy reduced from 68 to 60. Maximum firing spread increased from 4 to 6, and hipfire spread after continuous firing has been reduced. The SR25 marksman rifle abdomen damage multiplier increased from 0.9 to 1, and limb damage multiplier increased from 0.4 to 0.5. The M7 battle rifle base damage increased from 38 to 39. The abdomen damage multiplier increased from 0.9 to 1. The AKM base damage increased from 39 to 40. Headshot damage multiplier increased from 1.9 to 2.5 for the performance barrel combo. For the practical long barrel combo, range and muzzle velocity now get a 30% boost, up from 18, and recoil control improved from +6 to +8. The CI-19 base range increased from 27 meters to 35 meters. Practical suppressor control increased from -2 to 2, and the stability changed from -3 to 2. PBS Russian suppressor handling increased from -13 to -4, and the gunshot suppression changed from weak to strong. AK Brave Fire Suppressor handling increased from -13 to -4, control changed from 0 to 5, accuracy changed from 0 to -8. Russian SMG Precision Suppressor handling changed from -6 to -2, accuracy changed from 0 to 8. My apologies. For the M7 practical suppressors, there's a lot of suppressors here. Handling changed from -11 to -4. Stability changed from 0 to 2. Gunshot suppression changed from weak to strong. Whisper tactical suppressor, which is my favorite one. Accuracy changed from 0 to -4. Nerfed, damn it. Handling changed from -5 to -6. Control changed from 5 to 6. Stability changed from -4 to 6. The SMG Echo suppressor control changed from 7 to 5. Handling changed from -10 to -4. Stability changed from -3 to 4. Accuracy changed from 0 to -8. And finally, the advanced multi-caliber suppression now includes horizontal recoil control and horizontal stability effects. Control changed from 0 to 7. Handling changed from 0 to -4. Stability changed from -3 to 4. And the accuracy was changed from 0 to -8. Gunshot suppression changed from weak to strong. Moving on to operator balance adjustments. Now, there's not a whole lot here, but we're going to go through them really quickly. So for D-Wolf, they said that they noticed players have really optimized precise throwing spots for blasters, so to give players that are on the receiving end of those triple blasters more warning and time to dodge, they increase the sound propagation distance of blaster firing. So in both modes, the triple blaster firing sound propagation distance was increased from 50 meters to 100 meters, so you'll just be able to hear it from a longer range now. For Virons, so Viron's high mobility and high skill ability combo have led to performance data far exceeding other operators across all operations maps. So this is specifically for operations. After observing for 2 seasons, we've decided to make minor numerical balance adjustments that won't impact his core gameplay loop while continuing monitoring his performance. So in operations, his Jetpack Dynamic Propulsion, the cooldown was increased from 15 seconds to 25 seconds. The Crouching Tiger was increased from 70 seconds to 90 seconds. And the Dynamic Auxiliary System, the cooldown timer for the Dynamic Auxiliary System will now be displayed. For Nox, so they say since his debut, Nox has shown new combat approaches in certain advantageous situations. However, his overall strength still lags a bit compared to other assault operators. So we're hoping to slightly boost his movement speed bonus when he activates tactical gear, letting him execute flanking tactics more quickly. Compared to other assault operators, Nox's combat options in Warfare are limited. We've given Nox more gadgets to use in combat and will continue to monitor and optimize his performance in Warfare in upcoming versions. So they say more gadgets, but I think this is just like increasing whatever gadgets he already has. So not like class gadgets, but specifically operator gadgets. But I digress. In all modes, Silent Assault movement speed bonus was 10%. It's now 15. In Warfare, you now have a maximum capacity of 2 for whirlwind discs, and the initial ammo was also increased to 2. Tactical Flashbang initial ammo increased from 1 to 2, and the Silent Assault kill score changed from 60 to 100. For Toxic, after our latest balance tweaks, Toxic has definitely climbed the operator strength ranks, encouraging more players to try, again, they say him, but her out in their team setups. We're now looking to further enhance her offensive impact and overall feel while also giving her support role a healthy bump. So in all modes, the Swarm Drone, they've added sound effects for enemies getting hit and increased the audio range for removing Flux UAVs. They also increased the vertical flight range of Flux Swarms, making them easier to hit targets on uneven terrain, as if, you know, these things didn't hit people constantly anyways by just going through walls. Blinding gas, they significantly reduced how much it bounces on the ground, so it takes effect quickly right where it lands. In operation, when Adrenaline is activated, Toxic and her squad mates will also temporarily become immune to movement speed and ADS speed penalties from gear. In Warfare, when Adrenaline is activated, Toxic and her squad mates will also get a 10% movement speed bonus, and the Swarm Drone, the maximum HP reduction effect was 20 and now it is 40. For Shepard, over the past 2 seasons, more and more operators have discovered Shepard's dominant position in defensive and underdog combat scenarios. However, getting knocked out by a sonic track can be incredibly frustrating. To address this, we plan to slightly increase the audio range of sonic trap sound effects, giving players clearer warning cues to help them identify and counter the trap. So in all modes, the sonic trap maximum sound propagation range was increased from 7 to 8 meters, making it easier to identify. They also slightly increased the audio range of the trap placement sound effects. For Uluru, they said in their previous balance adjustments, they found that sustained damage gadgets within a 5-meter radius worked better in their maps. So specifically talking about the Luna buff for her Volt Arrow. So basically, Uluru, his incendiary grenade, the burn radius will be 5 meters now instead of 4. Finally, Saneva in operations, when the grappling gun pulls back dying operators or crates, you can now carry them midair during the return. So I guess what that means is you can turn and have that, whatever you're grappling, follow your grappling hook or camera and put it somewhere else or something like that. I don't know. It sounds kind of weird. And finally, bug fixes. So they adjusted AMD FSR 3 integration. So they've temporarily rolled it back to FSR 2. So if you're using FSR 3, you now have to use FSR 2 until they update it back to FSR 3. They fixed an issue where swipe acceleration mode would occasionally fail to activate on mobile devices, and they fixed unbalanced positions on some maps. So that pretty much covers the entirety of the patch notes. I went through all of it, but again, I'll leave a link in the description down below if you want to go and read them for yourselves. This video has been going on for far too long already. I will see you all on the battlefield in Cyclone, hopefully tomorrow if all goes well. But yeah, hit like button if you enjoyed the video, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and as always, thank you very much for watching. I really appreciate it, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Have a good one.